Hello there, it's Mrs. Tollison. This is our short video notes on observation versus inference. You need a few things before we can get started. You want to make sure that you have your interactive science notebook and have it open to page 16. And if the notes that we're taking go over onto page 17, that's totally fine. You're also going to want to have a pen or a pencil, something to write with so you can write down the notes. And then 2 different colors of either highlighters or colored pencils or some other pen so you can either highlight or underline some important things in the notes. And I'll let you know what it is that you need to highlight or underline. At any time during the video, if you need more time to write down the notes, or if you want to replay something, you can always pause or go back and listen to something again. So why don't you pause right now and make sure that you have everything that you need, your notebook, something to write with, and either some highlighters or colored pencils. And then when you're ready, come back and turn this back on so you can take some notes. All right, so you need to have your notebook open again to page 16. And we're going to take some notes. We're going to talk about the difference between observation and inference, because this is something that we're going to be doing a lot this year. So we're going to start off with observation, and then there's one other slide that's going to talk about inference. So let's start off with right there near the top of page 16. Write again the definition of observation. We've already talked about it before, but since we're comparing the two, I want to make sure that you have the definition for observation, again, right on this page. So observation is just when we gather information using our 5 senses. We're going to describe how does something look, smell, taste, sound, or feel. And when we're making observations, we want to be as descriptive as possible and use as much detail as we possibly can. And obviously in a science lab, many times, we don't taste things. We're not sure what something is, you wouldn't taste it. But in general, observation is gathering information using the 5 senses and describing how something looks, smells, tastes, sounds, or feels. So why don't you pick one color of highlighter or colored pencil or whatever you're using and highlight this word. Oops, I did the wrong thing there. Sorry about that. We're going to highlight this word, observation, and we're going to highlight some other things on this page in that same color to kind of link those ideas together. So just keep that available. We're going to use it again. So there's 2 different types of observations that you can make. The first type of observation is something that's called a qualitative observation. So it describes an object's characteristics using adjectives. So this is a descriptive type of observation. For example, there's 2 short examples here below. The banana is yellow and the boy is tall. Okay, so let's look at the first example. If we're describing an object using an object's characteristics using adjectives, in this first example, the qualitative observation would be the word yellow, because we're describing a characteristic of the banana, and the characteristic that we're describing is the color. It's yellow. And I'm going to go back and highlight too this qualitative observation, okay, because it's a type of observation. So you take a second right now and look at this second sentence, the boy is tall, and you decide, what do you think is the qualitative observation that's being made here? So the qualitative observation in this sentence is that the boy is tall. Okay, we're looking at the boy and we're saying that we think he's tall, and that's describing some characteristic, and the characteristic in this case would be height, the height of the boy. All right? Now, qualitative observations are good, but sometimes we can add a little bit to a qualitative observation to make it even more descriptive, give more accurate information about an object. So sometimes what we're able to do is use something called a quantitative observation. Okay? You can go ahead and highlight that term. Again, pause at any time that you need to write things down and be able to concentrate or reread what you've written. A quantitative observation is just an observation that involves a quantity or amount of something. There is a number included in the description or the observation. So a quantitative observation involves a quantity or a number or amount of something. Okay, what quantity of that object do you have? Okay, again, there's two examples. So in this first example, it says there were 5 bananas in the bunch. Okay, so take a second and think, what do you think is the quantitative observation in this statement? With quantitative observations, we're always looking for a number. So in this sentence, the quantitative observation is that there are 5 bananas. And in the second statement, it says the boy is 4.5 feet tall, or 4.5 feet tall. The quantitative observation is the 4.5 feet. So in this case, we've got the number, which is 4.5, and then we have our unit of measurement, which is feet. Sometimes, and I don't have the example written here, but many times you can have a statement that has both qualitative and quantitative observations in the same statement. So you could say something like, I have a bunch of 5 yellow bananas. Yellow would be qualitative, 5 would be quantitative. So again, if I said I had a bunch of 5 yellow bananas, it has both qualitative and quantitative observations in the same statement. And that happens many times. All right, so we just have a little bit more to do here on inference. So let's go to the next slide. All right, an inference, and again, you should write this definition down. And again, if you run out of room on page 16 and you're going to page 17, that's totally fine. An inference is when you are making a conclusion based on observations and reasoning. It goes beyond what you can directly sense with your 5 senses. Okay? So you're making a conclusion, or you're concluding something based on observations that you've made and just general reasoning, and it goes beyond what you can directly sense. And many times this reasoning comes from things you have observed in the past or past experiences that help you to make that conclusion. Okay? So pick a different color of highlighter or a different color pen and go ahead and highlight the word inference. And again, we're going to link something to that in our examples. So I've got 2 examples here. So the first example says, you see dark clouds in the sky and you tell your friend it is going to rain. So let's look at this sentence and think to yourself for a minute, what is the inference? What is the conclusion that you have made based on what you observed? Right? So in this example, the fact that you say it is going to rain, that's an inference that you're making. It's a conclusion. And that conclusion is based on an observation. So you can go back to your original color of highlighter or pencil that you had for all your observations from the previous slide. And let's highlight or underline what the observation was. What do you think the observation is? In this example, the observation is that you've seen or you see dark clouds in the sky. And based on reasoning and experience and the fact that you've kind of noticed a pattern throughout your life that many times when you see really dark clouds forming in the sky, not always, but many times, usually, it's going to rain. So you make that conclusion, you make that inference based on what you've observed and some good reasoning that you have. Okay, here's another example. Stella is wearing all pink clothes today. Pink is her favorite color. So what do you think is the inference here? Again, I've switched back to my pink highlighter because we're talking about inference. What do you think the inference is? So in this example, you're concluding, or you're saying that pink is her favorite color. You're making an inference or a conclusion based on an observation. And our observation, I've switched back to my other color of highlighter, my yellow highlighter. And I can highlight my observation. My observation is that Stella is wearing all pink clothes. So I observed she's wearing all pink clothes, and without asking her, I'm just concluding on my own, based on what she's wearing, that pink must be her favorite color. All right? So in science this year, we're going to be doing a lot of observing and inferring about different things we observe. So I wanted to have these definitions down. Please feel free to go back and review this video as many times as you need to. Make sure you've highlighted things and used your two colors. Go back and review this, and this needs to be done for Monday, the 26th of September. So it needs to be completed. I'm going to check your notebooks on Monday, the 26th. All right, have a great day.